This is the Savvy Investor radio show and podcast. For help with your retirement, schedule a 15-minute phone conversation with the team at ProStatus Financial Advisors today. Just call 866-597-1040 and at thesavvyinvestorradio.com.
I saw this and I wanted to bring it up. NBA star, Hall of Famer, Shaquille O'Neal is obviously a big proponent of financial literacy. He always talks about that. He's also a tremendous endorsement machine. What's he got? He's got Icy Hot. He's got DraftKings. He's got Papa John's, and you've got like 300 others that he has. He's got a lot.
He at one point he owned 155 Five Guys, which I read that he sold. He's got 9 different Papa John's stores. He owns 40 gyms, over 150 car washes, 7 Auntie Anne's pretzels, and numerous other businesses. So, he's a very financially astute, I would say, very financially astute individual, businessman who's, done, extremely well for himself in the basketball world, but then really took all that success, all of his earnings and created a plan. And, created a plan to generate income for himself, for the rest of his life. And, basically generational wealth that supports his kids and assumably his grandkids. I don't know if he has any grandkids yet, but assumably them as well.
Well, I think what we're going to go to now and what we're going to hear is really going to surprise a lot of people. Here is Shaquille O'Neal recently on a money management podcast, much like this, called The Break Room. Listen to what he had to say as he explained his greatest investment.
I used to see this rich guy, really rich, older, 80, old Rolls Royce. And I asked him, I said, how? And he taught me a word I never heard. Yeah, Shaq, you need to invest in an annuity. And I never knew what it was. And I looked it up because I was making so much money from commercials and all, I didn't know what to do with it. And he's like, yeah, all this money you're making, if you put it away, you can invest it. You can start collecting at 50, 60, and 70. So that was my greatest investment.
Ryan, a lot of people are just shaking their heads right now. Shaquille O'Neal said the A word, annuities. Probably shocked right now that he said that.
Yeah, I mean, annuities, they get a bad rap. They are a very useful tool if used properly, and they can be a horrible investment if used improperly. And far too often the annuities were used as improper investments. The downside to annuities is you put your money in there and that money is tied up for 5, 10, 7, 15 years, all kind of depending. And there's insurance salespeople out there, and, not everybody who works for an insurance company is like this, but there are those insurance people out there that basically try to convince you to put as much of your money, if not all of your money, into annuities because, they generate a commission, normally somewhere between 4 and 7%. And, they get a bad rap because of that. The annuities are kind of like annuity salespeople and insurance salespeople that sell annuities, and any advisor that sells annuities kind of has to overcome this used car salesman mentality. But the thing to remember about annuities, like I said from the beginning, is if used properly, like Shaq is describing, they can be a extremely useful tool in your retirement by helping generate income for you and your spouse that you can never outlive. And if you've been wondering about how I'm going to generate income in retirement, what are my options out there? And if you've Googled it, and I just had someone in my office the other day talking about the 4% rule, which says that if you put your money in the market, and statistically speaking, if you withdraw 4%, you'll technically never run out of money. If you've been Googling that and trying to figure out how that works, or, if you are one of those federal workers that has been affected by Doge, where they are eliminating your position, they're eliminating your job or forcing you into that early retirement. And you're thinking to yourself, how am I going to have the money that I need to live on for the rest of my life if I want to stop working, or if I want to work for another 5 years and then figure out what retirement looks like for you? I encourage you to give us a call, 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040. You'll sit down with myself, Mike, Catherine, Sam, a member of my team here at ProStatus, and we will put together your very own income plan in retirement that is not going to just talk about annuities. Yes, we'll talk about annuities. We'll talk about the pros and cons, but we'll talk about all the other ways that you can create income for yourself in retirement and the pros and cons that go along with it so that you can make the best informed decision for you and your spouse and your situation. But it all starts by giving us a call at 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040. Or, my favorite way to set appointments is you go to our website, thesavvyinvestorradio.com. There's a button there that says schedule my 15-minute call. You do that without having to pick up the phone, without having to talk to anybody, and get you right on our calendars. That's thesavvyinvestorradio.com.
I like that way too. It's clean. I mean, you can look at your calendar, you can look at Ryan's calendar, and you can say, hey, this date's going to work for me. It works for him. Boom. And you guys are talking with them pretty quick, clean and easy way to do that. Again, that is thesavvyinvestorradio.com. Click on the income analyzer button, and that'll get you there. Or you can call. We have teammates standing by right now, 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040. What about the folks that perhaps have an annuity? They don't know if it's a good one. They've had it for a long time. They want to get it checked out. Is there something better? Or they're thinking, hey, I just don't want this thing anymore. Can you guys look at that as well and say, hey, you actually have a pretty good one, or no, there is a better option for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It never hurts to get a second opinion. Whenever you get medical news that you don't like, you always go get a second opinion from, a different doctor. You never go with the first contractor that gives you a quote to do work on your house. You always get a second one. There's nothing wrong with getting a second opinion on your wealth. And pretty much everybody who comes into my office, I would say about 60% of them have some type of existing annuity. And, they always have questions because they don't understand it, or they were told, one thing. And when they sit down with me and I explain how it actually works, it's something completely different. And, this shock kind of comes over their face. And, really it's about, what do you have and how can we make it work for the best we can for you? Can you get out of it? Yes, no, maybe. That's kind of a decision for everybody. But if you can't get out of it, how can we use this to the most effective ability possible? And, I referenced earlier the prospect, the couple that came in to my office. They came in from the radio, so they'd been listening for years and years and years. And it was the first time anyone ever actually said this to me. They go, so are you the Ryan Herbert that we hear on the radio? And I was like, well, yeah, I am. I don't think I'm a celebrity, but that was the first time ever I kind of got that vibe from someone. But, we were sitting down talking about when they wanted to retire. And he was saying that, he wanted to retire. This is about a month ago. I want to retire in June. So very short window for when he wants to retire. And we were going over their numbers. We were talking about income. We were talking about the pension that he's going to get. We were talking about Social Security, and we figured out that they needed to have about an additional $3,000 a month. And he kept going back to this 4% rule. The 4% rule. Do you guys do that? Mm-hmm. Here's how I think it works. Here's what I want to do. And I think between them, they had about $1.3 million of assets that were saved up between a 401k and a non-IRA account. And they sat down with Lawrence and myself, and we were walking through all these numbers. And I said, okay, here are the various ways that we can create the income for you in retirement. You have this nest egg of about $1.3 million, and we need to generate about $3,000 a month of income coming in. So about $36,000 a year. So we can take, I want to say we can take, it was about 1.1 worth of your money, and we can put it out there in the overall stock market. And we can go out and we can buy blue chip stocks that pay, high quality stocks that pay decent dividends that are pretty consistent year to year. And here are the pros and cons. Stock market goes up, you make money. Stock market goes down, you make money. Stock market goes up, the company does well, they can increase their dividend. The company does poorly, they can decrease their dividend. But of your 1.3, we're going to dedicate $1.1 million of your money for income. And they said, okay, that's an interesting route, but that's using up a good portion of our money. And I said, well, so here's the next option. We can use what's called a preferred stock portfolio, and preferred stocks are a different level of stock, and they pay a set dividend rate that doesn't have to do with how well or how poorly the company is doing. Normally you're paying somewhere between 4, 5, 6, some are even high as 8%. But it pays this consistent dividend. The benefit to it is the money's liquid, just like it would be if it was in the stock market. Stock market goes up, you get a little bit of appreciation. Stock market goes down, you'll go down, but not as much as your overall market. But consistently, you're getting that dividend. And instead of taking 1.1, this is going to take about $900,000 of their 1.3. So they still had, a little bit bigger nest egg for emergencies and extras to do the fun things in retirement. And then lastly, I showed them, here's what happens if you use an annuity, because now we are transferring all of the risk, all of the risk on you, all of the stock market risk of the stock market going up or down, the company continuing to pay its dividend, we're transferring all that risk to the insurance company because that's what an annuity does. It transfers that risk. And in exchange for transferring that risk, instead of it costing you 1.1 to have a stock market portfolio to generate that $3,000 a month, instead of it costing you $900,000 to generate that $3,000 a month, we were going to take about 600, I think it was 660 something thousand of the money and put it into this annuity with this particular insurance company. And in exchange for that, they're going to pay you that $3,000 a month every single month for the rest of your life, starting in June, the day you retire. And, it really just for explaining them the pros and cons. Yes, you are dedicating this money there. Once that money's there, you can never go touch that money because that money is now the insurance company and they're paying it to you for the rest of your life. But we have now set aside an additional $700,000 worth of money that you can go grab. It gives them the most amount of liquidity. Mm-hmm. So while, yes, the bad about it is I'm tying my money up for the rest of my life with that, but I still have all this other money. I'm not using 1.1 million of my money to generate income. I'm not using 900,000. I'm using 660. And for them, they decided that that was the best route that they wanted to go with because they still wanted to travel. They wanted to buy an RV and drive across the country. That is one of those things that for some reason, a lot of people love to do. That is Mike's retirement goal. He's kind of pseudo doing it now. Him and his wife bought an RV and they drive across the country and they see different places, but they wanted to have money where they could go do that and then have extra spending money outside of this $3,000 a month that they needed. And that this was the best course of action for them. And if this is something that you've been looking for, someone to sit down with you and say to you, yes, retirement can happen the way you want, but more specifically, here's exactly how you're going to make it happen. And here's exactly how much it's going to cost. I encourage you to give us a call at 866-597-1040. That's 866-597-1040. And sit down with Mike, myself, Catherine, Lawrence, Faisal, Andrew, any one of my advisors here at ProStatus, and we will put together your very own income plan for retirement that lays out exactly where your income is going to come from in retirement. It all starts by giving us a call at 866-597-1040. That's 866-597-1040. Or you can visit us on the website at thesavvyinvestorradio.com. That's thesavvyinvestorradio.com. There's a button there that says schedule my call. And you can do that without picking up the phone, without having to talk to anybody. You look at your schedule, look at my schedule directly, and set your time up right there. That's thesavvyinvestorradio.com.
Ryan, thanks again. As always, though, man, you get the final word.
This is Ryan Herbert. Thank you so much for listening to the Savvy Investor Radio Show and podcast. And we will see you, the Savvy Investor, next week.
Advisory services offered through ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, a registered investment advisor. Insurance licensed in Maryland. ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, LLC is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if ProStatus Financial Advisors Group is licensed in your state, please call 410-863-1040. ProStatus Group, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through representatives of ProStatus Financial Advisors Group.